Whose copy is this? Is yours?
Mine.
How come you don't flip your covers?
Why would I? Who gives a shit? It's going back to the store anyway.
Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of the Friendly Fireside Videocast. Let's try that again.
Just keep going. Just keep going.
And I'm new in the hot seat right now. I'm Richard _ Pimentel.
Just keep going.
Just keep rolling.
I did want to touch upon us being new on the show. What's your history with gaming?
Well, it started, I had the Atari, I had a couple Ataris. So it just went to the NES and then the PlayStation and then the N64, and that was still like, I didn't even want to do anything with gaming. That was just like gifts, birthday, Christmas, things like that. It wasn't until like the PS2 that I actually got into gaming for myself and asked for the system and, got into it like that. So yeah, ever since the PS2 is when I really got into it.
So you have memories of having an Atari.
I remember
early '80s systems.
Yeah, but I don't remember the
same
game.
age.
Like, I wasn't into the games. So
right, they just happened to be there.
Yeah, I played them, but I don't remember the games I had.
I have two other siblings, and my sister was big into Tetris and puzzle games. My brother would play a lot of action games, but we had an NES, and I was more into my toys. I really didn't care about consoles, so we'd have an NES in the living room, and I could play it anytime I want, but I kind of didn't care to. I didn't really appreciate all of the games we had. I think we had about 30. I would play the most out of Super Mario Bros. 3 and 1 and Tetris. But I found it really just too difficult for the age that I was starting at, that I didn't really get into them. So I'd just go and play with my action figures or whatever. It wasn't until the same thing happened with my brother owning a PlayStation 1, and it just happened to be in the living room, and I didn't really feel I remember at the time feeling the impact of like, wow, this looks really different. Can I play it? I think he was playing either Ridge Racer or Gran Turismo 1. He was playing Gran Turismo 1, I think it was at the time, and I wanted to play it with him, but he wouldn't let me. Like, it would either be there were too many single player experiences that he would just hog the system, and then at the same time I would just think like, whatever, I'm just gonna go again play with my action figures. Yeah, it wasn't until I think I got my first system would have been an N64, and it was a surprise. I wasn't expecting to get anything. I knew other friends who had systems, and I would often play more games when I went over to other friends' houses because they had SNESs and they had Genesis, and this would be cousins and friends, and I'd play more games at their places than I would at my own. And it wasn't until I got my N64, and I didn't have many games for that. I had the first game I got was Zelda,
Okay.
and Jet Force Gemini, and then I would rent a lot of N64 games. More times, I think I would rent the same game so many times that eventually it would equate to the cost of just owning it anyway. So my mom would eventually buy it for me for that Christmas.
So you bought it twice, basically.
Basically, I played James Bond 007 GoldenEye, like I probably rented that like 30 times, and with the controller too, in the hopes that like a friend would come over and play with it with me. But most of the time I'm playing with like most of the time I was playing on my own, and then eventually she'd get it for me for Christmas or whatever. I think the first system I asked for was a PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And that was with the Gran Turismo 3-pack. And at that time, like, I have early memories with you at my place playing PlayStation 1 games in my brother's room, and that was his PlayStation 1.
We weren't allowed.
And we weren't allowed in his room. He's very selfish, so
if you're watching, you're selfish.
I had my N64, but not many games. So we'd go and play PlayStation games. We'd play PS1. We'd play mostly, I think it was Cool Borders 3 that occupied us. Anything competitive and with 2-player support, I would tell Maggot, like, we can like, let's keep playing, let's do one more race, until my brother comes home. Like, as soon as he opens the door and we're upstairs, and I'm like, oh, okay, crap, we gotta get out. And I'd like set everything back up, and it would be perfectly like as it was. I remember having gaming parties at my place, because I essentially inherited all these other consoles. I inherited NES, and I inherited an SNES through my cousins, and I got all their games and I got their controllers. At this time, it's already like 1999, so I'm kind of trying. I'd rather play like the cutting edge. I'd rather have still played my N64 at the time, Banjo-Kazooie, and games like that, than go back to these older games. It wasn't until I had my PS2 and a few games that I thought, hey, like, why don't I throw some parties with like retro games and like have people go back and play N64, play other games, play NES games together. And I remember having a few parties with elementary school friends. I was probably like around, I think I could have memories as early as like 4 or 5 playing Super Mario Bros. 3 for sure.
Normal Nintendo game?
It would be Super Mario Bros. 3.
Do you have a favorite normal Nintendo game?
Probably Mario Brothers.
How about Super Nintendo?
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario.
So eventually all my friends have been through some sort of connection of games, like whether it goes back to retro stuff we've owned or played. There was always a console that like we would all relate to, and it's gone to the point where we keep up to date enough that we play enough of like a little bit of everything, and we own, like, each of us owns a variety of consoles. That we can still talk about it. But it all started with like elementary school recess talk over PlayStation 2 games.
Yeah. So
that I made some of my best friends that way.
Cause I was never into superheroes or comic books or action figures or collecting any of that crap. So, like,
I wouldn't say it's crap.
What are you trying to say?
Any of that crap in general sense.
So tell us, guys, Slamm, what have you been playing?
So I finished the order. I've been playing...
It's the hot new... It just came out. Obviously, by the time people watch this, I'm assuming they would have read all the reviews and seen the kind of scores it's been getting.
Yeah.
So, it's been kind of a hot topic, I guess, because it's a AAA game that just came out for Sony, and they were expecting big things from it. So... We both played it.
Yeah.
What did we think of it?
You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
I kind of know where.
Well, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, so we know where we're going with this. But it was okay. I liked it.
Yeah.
If I had to attach a score to it, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. It was okay. It was fine. I enjoyed it, but it's very flawed. It's a very flawed game.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. But you know what? It was funny. I was talking to my brother today, and he was playing it too, and he seems to really like it. And I'm like, what the hell? Like you're not sick of picking up items and rotating them in your hand? If I had to give it a score, it might be around what you're saying. You know, I liked, obviously, technically, it's a feat. It might be the best looking console game.
I guess the best way to do this is just let's talk about positives.
Yeah.
Positives, it's probably the best looking game I've ever seen. No word of a lie. It's just incredible.
Sure. Yeah, I wouldn't argue that.
Especially on and consoles and the PS4, like, there's nothing that touches it, in my opinion. Like, it's incredible.
No, I agree.
I enjoyed the story. I liked what they did with the story. The setting, the environments, everything looks amazing. The Victorian era London is not a setting that you see used a lot in games anyway, so it's not like you're like, oh, another one of these games, right? So it was unique.
I agree. I like the setting a lot. I like the characters a lot.
The production values overall are just great. Like the cast, the 4 main, the order, the 4 main knights that you go through the game with, I think they're great. They have a really good rapport with each other. Like you can tell they have a history.
Yeah.
So the way they interact with each other is great. The voice acting is incredible.
I thought the guns sound good. You mentioned that. And obviously someone on that staff knows their history, like you're kind of alluding to. with Nikola Tesla and the I guess what would be the East India Trading Company in real life is kind of the United India Company.
Yeah, so they also have real people that kind of they put their own little twist on or whatever. I enjoyed it.
And there's a reference to the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, all that stuff, Her Majesty. Like, obviously, a lot of effort went into that world building, and they did a great job. And I think I mentioned to you before was, I want to know. I would play the next game. Like, I want to know what happens in the story.
I really appreciate what they did. First of all, everyone's talking about the game length has been a hot topic. Yeah. Ever since that one YouTuber got it, pre-release and uploaded his whole walkthrough, which was 5 hours. That's what he took him. Yeah. It's a short game. It took me 7-ish hours. Yeah. But the length is not an issue I have with the game. I have no problem with it being
7
a
hours.
6, 7, 8 hour game or however long it takes people. That's not really a fair criticism because you can have games that are incredible for 6 hours. You know what I mean? Like,
I was thinking about that.
But I do understand the people will have issues with the value because it's here in Canada it's $69.99.
Yeah, so $80 after tax.
So about $80 for this game that has zero replay value. Yeah. Literally zero. Like there's nothing to see again once you go through it once.
No, I agree. What I was gonna mention is I had thought about it a little bit more, and back when you owned a Super Nintendo, games would be 7 or 8 levels. Yeah. Like they would, and that might be 5 or 6 hours. Mm-hmm. Right? And back then that was perfectly fine. So to your point, where if it's a good, solid, spectacular 6 or 7 hours, then it's worth it. Yeah. I buy that. Sure. But like, the cutscene, like the things that I mentioned to you were like, just the way where it felt like I had to be prompted to do something.
Everything. Like, that's the thing.
I couldn't open a door because I had to wait for the character behind me to, like, come to the door. Then it would push me back 5 feet, and then the cutscene would show me walking up to the character before they open the door. I don't know. It was just things like that. They just pulled you in and out of, like, the theatrics of the story.
So they obviously prided themselves on it being a cinematic game, right? And
sure.
It is. It's a cinematic game. You can't deny it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But it comes at the expense of gameplay. Like,
but it didn't have to.
It didn't have to, but that's, I guess, the path they went, and that's what happened. Yeah. I feel like while going through this game, like Ready at Dawn, who developed the developers, I feel like they had their hand on the back of your neck while you were walking through and like forcing you through at the pace they wanted you to play as. Like they give you really no freedom whatsoever.
Like, it sounds like you're being tunnel visioned.
It's the thing
it's like reading a book.
Like, look at this. Like, I haven't played it. I've seen the promotional stuff that's coming out of E3. It's very focused. It's like the developers want you to see specifically these kind of frames. Yeah. This is kind of how the game plays, and it's beautiful. Yeah. And then it's like, behind curtains, here's the gameplay. And that's not what anybody wants to see. They want to see a gameplay because they know that's where they can judge how fun it is.
And it can get pretty boring. Like I said, the game grants you no freedom whatsoever other than pushing forward on the analog stick. Like, that's the only freedom it gives you, really.
Yeah. The other thing too was that you mentioned was just like you go from fight to fight after cutscene and cutscene, and it's like each fight is in a little box.
Yeah, the encounter,
to your point of not having any freedom.
The encounter design itself is really subpar and unimaginative. Like, you can't walk forward 20 seconds literally for the majority of the game. You walk forward and within 20-30 seconds you're in another cutscene, you're in another like wave. It takes control away from you. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just insane how I feel like I don't know if like that was their it feels to me like they made the technical aspects first, like their engine and the cutscenes and the story, and they tried to like shoehorn as much gameplay as they could into that.
I agree.
So I feel like the forced walking segments, which are a problem, like they intentionally put those in to kind of elongate the length of the game because they knew what they were dealing with. You know, when they're not stupid, they've been working on it for 5 years. So like, again, the length is not an issue I had. Was it an issue for you?
No, but like...
It was the replay value after the fact.
Yes, exactly. And if, again, like you said, if it was a 6 hours of fantastic, like a fantastic gameplay experience, you could play it again. And then it's not just a 6-hour game, then it's a 12-hour game. Played a third time.
Yeah.
And the trophies, there was nothing to really...
Yeah, the trophies are lazy too. Like, they just... Last minute, it seems like. There was just no imagination there. Like,
So
if they got the chance to make a second one, I'm sure it would be vastly improved.
I'm sure it's already
You know what I
been
mean?
greenlit or whatever.
It could have been, yeah, sure. But, like, if you look at things like Uncharted or Assassin's Creed...
Yeah.
Like, the first games, you could argue that they're just ideas put down, like, that are fully fleshed out.
The first Assassin's Creed, for sure. I think the first Uncharted did a really good job of being...
I enjoy that.
one...
But the second, like, that's what I'm saying, like, the improvement to the second and third games.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm trying to say, I think.
But yeah, like, it's just it's not a bad game. I wouldn't say it's a great game either. It's just there. Like, it's...
Yeah.
I would urge people to play it, but
For sure.
I wouldn't say go out and buy it right now.
No.
You know?
So how about a PlayStation Now playthrough?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe it's worth that.
I still think you should play the game. Like, I don't think if you're interested in the game, just reading the reviews and all that it's been getting, like, I'm still sure people would want to play the game for themselves.
If you could rent this game for 3 days at a Blockbuster, if they were still open, this is the perfect game to rent.
The third-person shooting I thought was solid. Like, it was good. It was fun. The actual shooting of enemies, it controlled well. The sound design helped.
Yeah.
You know, the sound of the guns were great and snappy and not some pea shooters
that rifle
like in every...
sounds really good.
Yeah.
They all know the one I'm talking about,
Yeah. But again, it's like you don't have any freedom within the combat. Like, you just... In every single encounter throughout the game... you're already going into the battle where people know where you are. Like, it just starts that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You like a beacon on you, and they just come in and like, oh, there he is.
With the radio transmission?
I'm saying, like, yeah, they must know where you are somehow.
I thought you were talking about the light on your shoulder.
No.
But yeah, so it's very, like, a haphazardly done, like, with the monster closets. They just pour out of 1, 2, 3 spots, and you just... Like, there's no diversity whatsoever in the encounters and the encounter design.
That's another thing too.
So that was disappointing. But the half-breeds that you fight, there's 2 types of battles. There's the QTE fights, which I'm sure everyone has heard of by now.
Okay.
There's 2 prominent QTE fights that are the same, which is disappointing. And you have the other Lycan battles where they're just like running, they're just running at you, and then they run away, and then they run back at you, and they run away.
And you press X, and you're rolling out of the way. And
like, it was like, they're such a cool enemy. They're well designed. The
first transformation was like, I thought that was really cool.
Like, it's just a missed opportunity. I feel like, did you play Dead Space 2?
No, I played the first one.
In Dead Space 2, there's a similar encounter with, like, I forget the name of the Stalkers, I think they're called, the Stalkers in Dead Space 2, where it's like, it's the same kind of thing where it's a new enemy that they're introducing to you, and they, like, run at you, but the way it's set up is so much better, so much more tense, because, like, you're in the middle of the arena, and, like, they're just coming from all around you, and they make this noise that, like, where the hell are they coming from? Like, it's just it's a similar concept, and it's just executed way better in Dead Space 2. So, like...
Well, how about the liquor? Or we were watching me play Resident Evil 2 the other day. You see the liquor come down crawling from the wall or whatever. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Like, I didn't break a sweat when I killed the Lycan.
Especially, how could you with QTEs?
I'm just like, okay.
No,
and I rolled out of the way once.
They didn't produce a challenge.
Then you run up to it and you finish
and you stab it.
A bit. So pacing again, fight. You walk for 10 seconds, 20 seconds.
It takes control from you.
That's what I noticed through your playthroughs. And I was kind of bored of it because, like, I'm coming in like I haven't seen since the intro of the game.
Why
it just
they were
throws
so
you right into it.
Maybe that's why they were so adamant that they didn't want videos up before the embargo, because you watch it and you're basically almost having the same experience as the person playing it. And after playing, games like Shadow of Mordor or whatever, when you just leap up the wall and whatever, I take the character, I'm at the ledge, and I'm pressing forward and jump, and it's not working until a certain prompt happens where either the character that I'm with gets close enough, or I don't know, like, it wasn't fluid, and all around, that even ruined the cinematic experience that Ready at Dawn was trying to control me to have.
Drive this point home that it's just, like, absurd how much control it takes away from you. the objectives that it constantly gives you at the top of the screen. I don't know if you noticed, but like a few times throughout the game, it gives you an objective.
Yeah.
And then a cutscene kicks in.
Yeah.
And in the cutscene, it completes your objective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure people canceled their pre-orders when they found out it's a linear 6-hour game.
well, just the scores, because people only care about scores, right? Bloodborne. I don't know if I'm gonna get Bloodborne.
I pre-ordered it.
I know you're into that stuff, but I'm not into. I played Demon Souls for like 4 hours, and then I just stopped.
It's not friendly.
No, I know that.
It is the total opposite of the order.
I think they're gonna make Bloodborne a little bit more user friendly though.
I had a conversation about
that.
someone and you know what? I think that's what's gonna that's what's gonna happen.
At least a little bit.
Yeah,
because
just enough.
They're pushing Bloodborne. Obviously, it's a AAA exclusive.
Yep.
Demon Souls came a little bit later in the cycle for PS3, so they weren't like dependent on it to like
it was overnight. No one expected to pull that off. And obviously I think Dark Souls is probably the best of the 3 games that have come out so far, because I think Dark Souls 2 is kind of the San Andreas of Dark Souls in my opinion, where like they opened it up and there was so much more to the game. Whereas I think Dark Souls 1 was kind of a balance between the original and Dark Souls 2. Let's see where Bloodborne goes. Now you have guns and stuff.
Yeah, I think they're definitely trying to appeal more to more people with it.
And I guess they're re-releasing Dark Souls 2 on PS4 as well.
Which they're doing after Bloodborne, which I find very strange.
Maybe maybe if people get hooked on Bloodborne, they say, I want to pick up Dark Souls 2 now. I'm going to buy the PS4 version. I'm not going to buy the PS3 version.
Does it bug you that there's a lot of these remasters games you've played? I mean, I appreciate that they're doing that. It's almost like they're readapting it,
It used to bug me, but at the same time, like no one's putting a gun to your head to make you buy it.
No, of course, but like, are you getting a little bit annoyed of it at the point? Like, more so, what I'm getting at is, like, Slamm, what are you missing in that you've played before, like a type of game?
Yeah.
It depends a genre of game that you kind of really miss right now.
Okay.
But like the only way you can kind of experience it is through a remaster or going back and actually playing it. Like you'd rather have a brand new new IP come out. Like everyone's waiting for
the new IP thing is always
Fantasy.
a conversation we're always going to have, because fans will say, "Oh, I want a new IP," but the companies will say, "Yeah, we can release a new IP and maybe we try something new and it doesn't work and no one wants it and we spend all this money, whereas we could send out a sequel."
I think it's a quick buck. It's not remastering games is not. I mean, depending on what you do and how you do it, it's. I think it's mostly monetary reasons that they do it.
Sure.
Like it's just.
But I think it's a case by case thing. Like I'm sure there are games where they do work really hard.
Sure. Like GTA 5, they added a whole
exactly.
new viewpoint.
That's
I get it, but that's Rockstar, and they're more than capable of doing that.
Yeah, no, I
like remasters. Like especially for games that obviously that I haven't played on PS3.
Yeah.
If they happen to remaster them and I didn't play them last generation, like
you're gonna get
I'd
the
pick them up.
version.
Sure.
Well, okay, but on the Wii Virtual Console, you can buy the original game and it's dirt cheap, right? Like I don't think there's this vast swath of remasters killing the market or anything. I think the choice is up to the consumer, and if remasters are successful, it's because the demand is there.
Put that away, please.
Continuity gone. Where did you get that from? This is Mega Man. Okay? I own him. He's my friend now. Not only can I display him, I can open him up and he can play with me in my favorite Wii games.
I don't
play with my Wii.
You know what? I think even Nintendo was surprised at how this caught on.
They knew. Skylanders and Marvel Infinity, like, I'm sure they sell like Bonanzas, whatever.
I don't know, man. Everyone's on about this, and I don't get it.
It's gonna be a fad. Let's probably.
Well, they're already talking about like replacing them with cards. Like, why would they do that?
I guess it's easier to keep up with demand when all you have to do is print cards as opposed to printing figures and.
That's the wrong way to go.
NFC chips and
given how they're selling, no one's gonna want cards.
Yeah. I think they sell a lot because the supply is so deficient. Like, I think if...
That's Nintendo. They do that, man.
Yes.
Wii, look at Wii.
And I wonder how much, maybe someone in an office knows, we do it this way and we actually make money, as opposed to having vast supply of Villager, Wii Fit Trainer, Marth, Ike, and various other amiibos that people... Meta Knight that people can't find, right? And maybe someone says, we make it rare and we actually end up selling more Marios and Sonics and Mega Mans because the other ones are rare and people don't want to miss out.
I don't get it, man. You've tried to
get it. I just don't.
I think a great thing to bring up is the original Wii, right? So that Christmas season, it was the hot item.
Not even just that Christmas season.
And how many of those people who bought that Wii a year later were just using it as a paperweight because the games weren't necessarily
they just bought it because they saw it in a store and they're like, oh, you can't usually buy them, so.
And grandma got sick of the playing Wii Tennis.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
Like.
So this could be like that super hot item, but maybe in a couple months, it's just another one of those accessories that Nintendo sells. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't get it.
And I think a lot of people don't get it.
I don't get the use of them. Like
I get it, world.
You sound almost like offended, disgusted.
No, I'm not offended. I'm just saying,
this is
like,
for children. Let children have fun.
Like
Sonic, man.
We have a bunch, right? You guys have a bunch.
You guys have a bunch, and I like them because they're so beautifully made.
I use Little Mac in Smash.
On Wii U?
On the Wii U.
They look great.
Okay, because like I just...
Yeah,
it seems like they're just more used as a collector's item than actually people...
Yeah, no,
well, they're capitalizing on that. They look fantastic, like you've mentioned in the first episode. They're well painted and they have that function to it. You just wanted more functions out of it.
Or you like
you shake your head.
Yeah. Okay, so this is $13. Are you of the opinion that if I buy a game, whatever this unlocks should just already be in the game, and like why do I have to buy this to unlock it?
No, it's not. I mean, no, that's not my opinion. I just don't. The literal use of them, I do not get. So you put them on your controller.
So Sheik.
So
for
like
example,
you put this. Oh, can I grab the Sheik?
Yeah.
Do I have the
grab
right?
It.
You train them, or you fight with them?
In
like
Smash
you put your
Brothers,
3DS,
you train them, and you can fight against them. Or
and
you
can only use them in first-party Nintendo games, right? So it's like
in certain games, yeah. So like in Sheik, for example, you can use her in You can use her in Smash Brothers.
You can use them all in Smash Brothers, can't you? Like they're all.
But you can also use her in Hyrule Warriors, which is like the Dynasty Warriors game.
Okay.
And you get like certain special weapons. I think we should get a 20th anniversary PS4 for here.
That'd be really difficult.
No, Kijiji, you just have to have money.
No, well.
$1,000.
All right, yeah, go for it. Go for it. You might win the lottery this weekend.
Yeah,
go
maybe.
for it.
Hopefully.
That would be your first purchase with the lottery money.
Let it be known. Let it be written. If we win the lottery, the first thing I'm gonna buy, 20th anniversary PS4.
Thank you for joining us on the Friendly Fireside Vidcast 2. Signing off is Slam Dunkerton, Maggot9, Richard_Pimentel, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Twitter at FriendFireside, and tune into our Twitch channel /The Friendly Fireside. Thank you, and signing off.